Good morning, doctors. Today we are going to discuss about typhoid fever and its homeopathic therapeutics in detail. When we hear the term typhoid, all of us remember the story of Typhoid Mary. She was a carrier of typhoid fever.
Typhoid Mary, otherwise she is known as Mary Millen, who born in Ireland in 1869 and later emigrated to US in 1884. The significance of Typhoid Mary is that she was the known carrier of typhoid. She was basically a cook. She used to prepare food for everyone. During her preparation of food and supply to them, she used to transmit her disease to them. And identifying that after cooking, lots of peoples were getting typhoid. Once everyone was having food from her, it was identified that she is transmitting this disease. She was sent for containment for 2 years, and after the containment of 2 years, she was sent out with a restriction that she should not prepare or supply food to anyone. But what she has done is that she has just totally changed her identity and name, and started to, in a false name, she started to do the previous thing again. That means again started to cooking again, and later which causes the disease to be transmitted to many others. And almost above 47 people and 3 people was killed due to typhoid. And identifying this, the government had sent her to lifetime containment, and she died 26 years after with the pneumonia. The important thing is that the significance is that she was a non-carrier, and she was not at all getting any sort of, her death was not from typhoid fever, but instead she died with a pneumonia after 26 years. Then
Typhoid fever. It's also known as enteric fever because it is pertaining to gastrointestinal system, so it has such a name. The typhoid bacillus was discovered by Carl Joseph Ebert in 1880. The typhoid fever is caused by a gram-negative bacteria, Salmonella typhimurium.
the next important thing regarding the name and why this typhoid fever came. The name actually came from Greek, which means smoke. That means the Greek word typhus, which means smoke. And Carl Joseph Ebert was the one who has identified the Salmonella typhi in 1880.
Man is the only known host of typhoid fever.
If we go through the transmission of typhoid, fecal-oral route is the main route of transmission. Foodborne and waterborne is the main source, and out of that foodborne and waterborne,
From contaminated food and contaminated water, typhoid is transmitted.
the another significance of Salmonella typhi is that it survives pH as low as 1.5. Now we will go for the pathogenesis of typhoid fever. In this pathogenesis, we have to know two phases. One is the carrier phase. The carrier phase, that is that again divided into two. That is, one is the healthy carrier and another one is the chronic asymptomatic carrier. Healthier carriers means those carriers with fecal carriers or urinary carriers are known as healthy carriers, and chronic asymptomatic carriers means this one will be present with a persistent infection in the gallbladder and will be transmitting to others. That is the regarding the carriers. Two type of carriers are there. Now regarding the pathogenesis, the size of inoculum and the larger the dose, the size of infection will be more. That means that when there is more and more amount of infection is there, the virulence of infectious strain will be more, and presence that will be simultaneously producing changes, presence of bacterial flora in the jejunum, simultaneously producing to the complications. And normally what happens is that in the gastrointestinal pH, in the normal gastrointestinal pH, this bacteria will not survive. The more, as it is having more and more amount of inoculum, automatically there will be, it will escape through the gastrointestinal juice and enters into the next part and colonizes there and causes all the changes. The pathology, the main pathological changes that occurs are one is ulceration of the Peyer's patches and nodules, typhoid nodules. Then
About the incubation period of typhoid fever, it varies from 10 to 14 days on an average, or also we can say from 3 to 21 days. It depends upon the inoculum size, health status, and also the immune status of the host.
now, if we go through the complications of typhoid fever are mainly intestinal perforation, typhoid meningitis, typhoid pneumonia, cholecystitis, and salmonella endocarditis. The clinical presentation of typhoid is very significant. Why? Because in the early stages of typhoid, we will only telling that it as a simply taking it as a fever. By taking it as a fever, because we will not be able to identify what is the thing. So the significance, we have to note it out, whether it is a normal fever or it is a typhoid. With the clinical presentation, it is easily distinguishable also. In the first week, the most important pattern of temperature is very important. That is, step ladder pattern of fever will be there. Then the second thing, rose spots, which is caused due to the bacterial embolism over the upper abdomen and chest. And the third most important significant thing regarding the pulse. Normally what happens in every fever is that in every fever, there will be pulse will be synchronously increasing with the temperature. But here what is the thing is that there will be slow pulse fever associated with either constipation and very often with the diarrhea, and also abdominal pain will be one of the associated presenting feature.
In the second week, the symptoms will be changing. That means from the step ladder pattern of fever, the fever pattern will change to somewhat continuous. The temperature will be somewhat continuous. The tongue will be coated in the center. The margins will be reddish. And also there will be signs of toxemia because central nervous system is affected here. So muttering delirium, carphology, that means picking up of bedclothes, um, coma vigil, other CNS symptoms. Next, we can see subsultus tentatum. That means twitching of muscles, which causes involuntary movements of the tendons, and also timidity of the right iliac fossa.
And in the third week means the disease has progressed to the next stage. It means the complications about to begin. At the end of the third week means complications can arise. So the third week, the main symptoms are fever and toxemia continues. Fever and already the toxemia has begun. So the fever and toxemia continues, and complications started to develop like ulceration of the Peyer's patches, typhoid nodule, laterly going for the perforations, peritonitis, and acute abdomen, which is basically a fatal thing. And uncomplicated cases, which are not going for, always there is two actions are there. One is basically going for complication, another one is basically a self-healing, which is uncomplicated cases. Temperature starts to fall by lysis at the end of third week and becomes normal by 1 week. That means gradually the temperature started to fall. Automatically the autoimmune system, the body immune system will develop. Simultaneously, the virulence and existence of the virus will be going out. So, and everything will come to normal in a week. That is the main clinical presentations.
Also, Peyer's patches are seen in the ileum. Next, about the signs and symptoms of typhoid fever. The fever of temperature ranging from 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, rose spots over the upper abdomen and chest, loss of appetite, constipation or diarrhea, headaches, muscle aches, exhaustion, stomach pain, confusion.
The patient will be totally bedridden out. Why? Because he is having so much of exhaustion and he is having severe body pain, stomach ache, with occasionally vomiting. Depending upon the severity of illness, the complaints also worsen up. For the vomiting, diarrhea, all these comes will be followed. Why? When the toxemia and other things develops, it will produces toxemic symptoms that we had discussed above.
About the lab investigations, uh, if we suspect a case of typhoid fever from the symptoms, first week we can go for blood culture.
In the first week, we can go only for blood culture. There only we will get. If you perform viral test or some any other test, we will not get any sort of identity. Even urine culture also will not reveal typhoid fever in the first week. In the second week, urine culture and viral test will be positive. And in the third week, isolation of the organism from the blood and urine and feces scan is possible. And when it worsens up, automatically typhoid meningitis, if it is complicated for typhoid meningitis and other complications, CSF will be containing organism. So that means the bacteria Salmonella. Now we will go for the homeopathic management of typhoid fever. Homeopathic management of typhoid fever is having, basically we will be doing the repertory. In the repertories, I will be telling different repertories and how many symptoms it covers for typhoid. In complete repertory, it comes under fever, heat, continued typhoid fever. 242 remedies are there. In NER repertory, fever, typhoid, including typhus, 127 medicines are mentioned. In Ken repertory, fever, continued fever, typhus, typhoid, 65 remedies are mentioned. In Boric, fever, type of fever, enteric, typhoid fever, 55 medicines are there. In Bonninghausen, fever, pathological types, typhoid fever, 39 remedies are there. Fever, typhoid, in fever repertory, fever, typhoid, 36 remedies are there. In clerk, clinical, typhus, fever, 22 remedies are there. Clerk itself, clinical, enteric fever, 19 remedies are there. In nerve, again fever, duration, continued, almost intermission very short, one remedy is mentioned. Now we will go for the materia medica part of typhoid fever.
When we hear of typhoid fever, some common medicines will come to our mind. Which are they?
The main medicines that come to our mind are, one is Bacteria tinctoria,
Arnica,
arnica, etc.
muriatic acid.
Muriatic acid, etc.
Acid.
Now we will go with the Bacteria.
In bacteria, the patient will be restless. There will be very much offensiveness, because we all know that it belongs to one of the trio of offensiveness. There will be loose stools, stupor. That means when he falls asleep and when we speak to him, he'll answer.
He will be answering in the middle of that one. That means that he will be having, what is the thing? He will be having a stupor, and in between we ask something, he will be answering in the midst of the answer. He will be, and if she is asking me a question, what about your gastrointestinal pain? I will be answering. If he is, I'm a bacteria, I will be answering in this fashion.
There will be great prostration.
Yeah.
In whatever position the patient lies, the parts rested upon feel sore and bruised, like that of arnica.
Another important thing is that if you go through the if it is going for the toxemic state or something like that, the patient bacteria is having a peculiarity. The nature of delirium and the sensation is very important. He will be trying. He feels as if his body is being scattered into pieces and trying to catch it together. Such an amount of pain and other nature is there in bacteria. Another important thing regarding in the relationship of arnica, bacteria is that when arsenic album is improperly used, and it is repeated in typhoid fever,
we can use
bacteria. That is very significant. Then after bacteria, Crotalus horridus,
Hammermelis, nitric acid, terebinth act well in hemorrhage of typhoid and typhus.
The next remedy is pyrogen.
In pyrogen, there will be great restlessness, must move constantly to relieve the soreness of the parts. The bed feels too hard, parts laid on will feel sore and bruised. There will be rapid decubitus. The tongue will be large, flabby, clean, smooth, as if varnished, fiery red, dry, cracked, and articulation will be difficult.
In case of pyrogen, it actually comes in the next stage actually. From the initial stage, once the temperature is continuous and the temperature will be very high, the complaints actually comes out. That time, so, there will be omitting, will be persistent omitting will be there, and the nature of omitting is also very, very important. Brownish coffee ground and offensive omitting, and associated with the diarrhea, which is horribly offensive, with the painless, involuntary, and uncertain when passing platters. And in the relationship part, later pyogenic processes, patient continually relapsing after apparent similima. That means that once the apparent similima medicine has been given, and but the it is getting relapsing again and again, pyrogen can be used as an intercurrent or as a remedy in order to sustain the cure. After baptisia, and in all cases who did not remedy, because you had instead, baptisia is the first remedy that comes to your mind when it is heard of typhoid fever. Even though after baptisia there is no response is there, typhoid pyrogen is one of the remedy that can respond in case of typhoid.
Next remedy is arnica. In arnica, the patient will say that there is nothing matter with him. Everything on which he lies seems too hard, complains constantly of it and keeps moving from place to place in search of a soft spot. Sore, lame, bruised feeling throughout the body as if beaten. Uh, in unconsciousness, when spoken to, he'll answer correctly, but at once unconsciousness and delirium will return. The fever pattern will be heat of upper part of body and heat of the face and head and coldness of the lower. There will be shivering of the entire body, nightly sore sweats, fetid breath, taste as from bad eggs, straining of tenesmus in diarrhea, offensive, brown, putrid, involuntary, dysentery with ischia, fruitless urging, and long interval between the stools.
When we hear of arnica, we always consider arnica as an injury remedy. But arnica is one of the remedy which can be given, which is having a high action in typhoid fever. And the symptoms, body pain, when the body pain is so much worsening and the body pain makes him to change his positions, and when he is body pain is so severe as if his body has been broken into pieces, like that instances, arnica basically comes into action. The next remedy is arsenicum album. Arsenicum album, we know that it is a remedy which is having key indication with both physical and mental restlessness. They are too weak to move, physically too weak to move, and but mentally severely restless, and cannot rest in any place, changing places continually, wants to be moved from one bed to another, lies now here and there, like that the cortal changes there. And anxiety of and arsenicum is very peculiar because it is having high fear of death, and it be having a sense as if no use in taking medicines. He is surely going to die and there is no use in taking medicines. It's the greatest thing in case of arsenicum album. And in the arsenicum album, weakness and prostration are the major symptoms we must consider.
There will be great thirst for cold water. He drinks much but little at a time. There will be burning thirst without any special desire to drink. The stomach will not assimilate the cold water and it lies as a stone in the stomach. So he dare not to drink water again. There will be nausea, retching, vomiting after drinking. Vomiting of blood, bile, green mucus or brown black mixed with blood. The stool will be small, offensive, dark, with much prostration, which is worse at night and after eating and drinking. Then the common modality of ARTSEP, the time modality, as we all know, that is from 1 to 2 p.m. and 12 to 2 a.m. So the fever and all related complaints will be aggravated during these times.
Burning pains is the most important thing regarding arsenic album. Body will be having severe burning pain, which is ameliorated by warm application. That is the peculiarity of arsenic album. There is another thing is also there regarding the headache. There is a controversy is that in headache, all the complaints are ameliorated by cold. But in body pain, all the complaints are ameliorated by warmth.
Next remedy is muriatic acid. Muriatic acid is also having restlessness. In fever, there will be heat without thirst. coldness of extremities, intense burning heat but he'll be having aversion to covering, body pain with heaviness of extremities. The patient will be so weak and he slides down in the bed.
Pulse will be rapid, feeble, and pulse will be intermits every third beat. Excessive prostration, deep stupid sleep, unconscious while awake, loud moaning or muttering, tongue coated at the edges, shrunken, dry, leather type, and paralyzed. Involuntary, offensive, stools while passing urine are the peculiarity
While
of
passing stool, he must also pass urine simultaneously.
simultaneously. The next drug is Bryonia alba. Fever, chill with external coldness. That is the foremost symptom regarding typhoid in case of Bryonia. The pulse will be full, hard, tense, and cute. Internal heat will be there. Typhoid marked by gastrohepatic complications. You know, Bryonia is having high affinity towards the this one liver. So typhoid marked by gastrohepatic complications. Delirium, and it is having a peculiar when the fever exceeds, it will be having a peculiar delirium, busy with the business matters, what he have read, wants to go home, talks of business. In fever, in the bed, he will be talking of business and wants to go home, etc. He will be telling.
And also in perennial, we all know that there will be dryness of the skin and mucous membrane. So the lips will be dry, parched, the mouth also will be dry. There will be excessive thirst for large quantities of water. There will be vomiting of bile and water immediately after eating and drinking. Stomach will be sensitive to touch. All pains are aggravated by motion and ameliorated by absolute rest. That is the general modality of Bryonia alba.
The most important significance of bryonia is also the same thing. Complete absolute rest. The patient will be lying totally in the bed without even a slightest change of position. That is the most important identity feature regarding bryonia.
The next medicine is gelsemia. As we all know, in gelsemium fever, there will be high temperature, the patient will be dry, dull, there will be dizziness. The fever will be bilious remittent fever with stupor, dizziness, faintness, and also thirstless. Thirstlessness is a feature, and he'll be much prostrated. Chill without thirst, the chill will be running along the spine. Wants to be held because he shakes so. There will be shivering, much shivering, delirious and falling asleep, measles like eruptions of the skin. Pulse will be slow, full, soft, and compressible. Stools are painless or involuntary, cream colored or tea green colored. Tongue is coated, thick, yellowish, and also tongue trembles.
When we are thinking of gelsemia, dullness, dizziness, drowsiness, that is the and dryness. These are the 4 points that should come to our mind regarding the fever of gelsemia with the thirstlessness. That is very significant. Thirstlessness, dullness, dizziness, drowsiness, and dryness are the most important features you must think in case of gelsemia. In Crotalus horridus is an advanced remedy for typhoid fever. Once it is going for the almost, it is indicated in the third stage of typhoid fever. And the fever will be of low bilious remittent fevers for cerebrospinal meningitis. That means the typhoid meningitis occurs, Crotalus horridus is indicated. Bloody sweats will be there. Malignant fevers of hemorrhagic or protusance character. Sleep induced symptom is very much important. He just sleeps and his complaints worsen up, he gets up. That is the peculiarity of Crotalus horridus. Then unable to retain anything in stomach. Why? He is having so much of infection. So once he had something, immediately he vomits out. Violent blood and bilious vomiting. That is important. Violent blood and bilious vomiting. And the vomitus will be in color of black or coffee ground vomiting. Oh, that means occult blood. It is coming from intestine. So occult blood will be there. That's why it is having black or coffee ground vomiting. Then distended, hot, tender abdomen, because Peyer's patches might have worsened up and it will be bringing out symptoms, and or we will be getting a almost an acute abdomen symptom, that is distended, hot, and tender abdomen. And the black thin offensive like coffee ground stools are another peculiarity of Crotalus horridus.
The next drug is Rustox. As we all know, in Rustox, there will be so much of restlessness. The fever type will be adynamic. There will be trembling. The tongue will be dry with a triangular red tip. Intermittent fever with chill. Urticaria during heat.
Chilly as if cold water were poured over him, followed by heat and inclination to stretch the limb, is one of the peculiarity of the Rustox, because he feels as if the cold water is being poured over him, and after that he'll be having like that. He'll be extending out like this. That is the one of the peculiarity of Rustox. And a great thirst with a dry mouth and throat is another symptom of Rustox. The diarrhea and the nature of diarrhea is very significant. It is bloody, slimy, reddish mucosal stools, and it will be having a cadaveric odor. That means so much of fancy out of a cadaver. Then frothy, painless stools are associated. Diarrhea with the beginning of typhoid, involuntary with the great exhaustion, tearing down, pain down the posterior parts of the limbs. When he passes the stool, he will be having severe pain running down to his legs onto the sides. And the delirium of being poisoned is another thing, another important thing of Rustox. And next important thing, opposite of bryonia, that is body pain ameliorated by continuous motion. That means constant change of positions will give him ameliorate. But initial motion, once he changes for the first thing, it will be aggravated. But once he runs with the continuously or continuous, he is on changes, he is okay. That is the important thing regarding the body pain. Aggravation by initial motion will be ameliorated by continuous motion.
The next drug is Terebinth. In Terebinth, in fever, there will be heat with violent thirst. The tongue will be dry. There will be profuse cold, clammy sweat over the entire body. There will be tymphanitis, hemorrhages, stupor, delirium, prostration, and also the tongue will be dry, red, sore, shining, burning in the tip with prominent papillae.
Offensiveness of mouth or halitosis is very significant in case of terebinthina. And diarrhea with the stools will be watery, greenish, and offensive, bloody. And it will be in a pelvic peritonitis. So in an advanced case of typhoid fever, it can be, because one will go for perforation and this peritonitis occurred, and simultaneously we can go for terebinthina. Next, enterocolitis with the hemorrhage and ulceration of bowels are the most important pathological symptoms of terebinthina.
The next drug is Veratrum virid. In Veratrum virid, the temperature pattern will be a zigzag temperature pattern. There will be hypothermia in the morning, that means low temperature in the morning, and hyperthermia, high temperature in the evening. There will be separated types of fever with great variation of temperature. Erysipelas with cerebral symptoms. Tongue will be white or yellow with red streaks down the middle.
That is another drug for typhoid. Echinacea. Echinacea, diarrhea in typhoid fever, nausea better by lying down. Cold flashes all over the back. Tongue will be dry, swollen, dirty brownish. White coating of the tongue with the red edges and severe debility and weakness are the most important characteristics of Echinacea typhoid. So diarrhea in typhoid fever, the first remedy that was considered in our mind is Echinacea. Now we will go for the do's and don'ts. In case we will go for the general management. In the general management, what are the things, do's and don'ts in typhoid fever? The do's are:
drink more water, that is minimum 6 to 8 glasses of water a day.
Drink boiled, properly filtered water.
Include good quality food, which is more proteinaceous, such as eggs, meat, fish, poultry.
In properly cooked form. That is very important. In properly cooked form, without any spices or condiments. Much spices should not be used. Very less number of spices, and preferably avoid egg and meat, fish, etc. Go for vegetarian, but in a very cereals. Vegetarian means cereals. Such things you add more in the diet. Okay, and keep taking the prescribed medicines for as long as the doctor has asked you to take them. And another thing is that peel off the skin before you eat, because all the things, fecal oral route, everything will be transferring through the outer covering of, if you are not washing the fruits or some this properly, then it can transmit. So peel off the skin of the fruits and have it, not grapes. Then don't don'ts. What are the things you must not do? Okay.
Avoid handling food or any other household things if there is a risk of spreading the disease. Don't go for heavy meals. Split your meals, heavy meals, and do frequent small meals. Avoid high fiber foods.
Then food items you can easily consume are cereals properly cooked with rice, white bread, pulses, thin dal, vegetables properly cooked and mashed potatoes, carrots, ashgaard, etc. can be used and included in the diet. Fruits, small bananas, not the big one. Big one can produce constipation, so be very careful. So small bananas, oranges, apple without skin, tender coconut water. Use tender coconut water regularly because it can aid. Then milk and milk products, yogurt, buttermilk, etc. you can use and consume it.
After getting typhoid and getting cured of typhoid, still we have to continue a proper diet for 6 months, or at least for a minimum of 3 months. You must take boiled water. You must completely avoid cold water, and also you must eat properly cooked food. That is, light foods are
Advisable.